Alright, so today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be taking a look at this Larry Bird build that I've been using in competitive Pro-Am on NBA 2K24. Now, this build is an elite shooter, and you can score in a variety of different ways, whether it's going for off-ball catch and shoots, or having the ball in your hand, scoring off of the dribble, or in the post. And when it comes to our actual percentages on this build, we're shooting about 66% from the field and 71% from 3 on this build. And this is not from no small sample size. We've been playing about 50 games at least on this build already. But with all of that out of the way, man, let's get started with today's video. Let's go. Now, gentlemen, really quickly, it is the holiday season. If you're looking to buy a jersey for a loved one or just for yourself for this holiday season, go to pristinejerseys.com. Link is going to be in the description down below. All right, so when you're making this build, I ended up making it at the small forward position. Height's going to be 6'8", weight 231 pounds with a 6'11" wingspan. Now, if you guys do not know, there's actually some dribble styles that you unlock by default when you make them at specific positions. And if you make a build at small forward, you can get normal dribble style by default, which is actually one of my favorite dribble styles to use with a low ball handle, which is why we made it at this position. Now, starting things off with the finishing, and man, listen, this is not going to be like a super traditional Larry Bird build. If you guys were looking for that, I've already uploaded a version of that type of build on my channel already, but this is built for Pro-Am, and this is built for my team. And on my team, we run a pure inside center at the 5, so there's not going to really be a whole lot of room to have finishing on this build. I didn't even want to put layup on this build because we ended up putting those attributes in other places. But again, man, if you really do want a more accurate Larry Bird build, I've already put that up on my channel. But now let's actually talk about this build. And with this build, we're going to get a 92 post control. And one of my favorite badges that we get with having such a high post control rating is post playmaker on Hall of Fame. Now, although it is a badge that you need to have post control in order to unlock, we're actually going to talk about this badge more in the playmaking section of this video. So now we're going to move on to the shooting. All right, so now moving on to the shooting, as you can see, we're going to have a 93 mid-range shot, which is going to get you Midi Magician on Hall of Fame, as well as gold blinders and gold Deadeye. Now, with these badges, you're going to be able to attack off of the dribble without any issue. Whether you have centers on you, it's going to be a mismatch because they're going to be too slow to keep up with you, or if you have guards on you, you could still beat them off of the dribble, or you could dominate them out of the post. But we will talk about that again in just a moment. And again, man, having that super high midi is going to just allow you to take advantage of bad defenders out in the mid-range area, whether it's your bigs that are too slow or your guards that can't fight through a screen and the big that just doesn't want to head. But now let's talk about the other facet of the scoring game that you do have on this build, which is your post game. And again, you're going to get post fade phenom on Hall of Fame with this build. And this is where the mismatch hunting is going to really begin, because usually in competitive Pro-Am, teams like putting their players that have poor defense in the corner where I'm usually spot up at, which is usually going to be their point guard with no interior defense and no perimeter defense, and we're going to be able to just kill this person out of the post. And even if they do put a guard that has decent defense on their build, again, if the guard is too small, you could pretty much just shoot over them. So if they ended up making like a 6'4" guard with some decent steal, decent perimeter defense, that end of the day might not matter because I am 4 inches taller, I have the height, I have the leverage advantage, and I'm just going to still be able to shoot over them. Now, obviously, you can also see that we get an 85 three-point shot on this build, which is going to make you an elite three-point shooter, and we're going to be a nasty shooter in our spot-up situations, especially since we have shooting badges like Silver Spot Finder, as well as Hall of Fame Catch and Shoot and Hall of Fame Open Looks. Now, really quickly, we're going to talk about the moving threes that you can hit on this build, especially off-ball. Look at this right here out in transition. We're hitting a moving fade catch and shoot situation from out at limitless range, and that is no issue with having an 85 three-point shot on this build. Again, look at this right here, very similar situation. And again, you're really going to be able to move off the ball out of the three-point line super well this year, since we have badges like Spot Finder on Silver. This is going to allow you to expand your off-ball shooting game by a mile. Look at this right here. We're setting a screen, going up to the wing, and hitting a wide open catch and shoot shot. And I think this is something that a lot of teams overlook when it comes to off-ball movement this year. It's actually pretty freaking good. But now let's talk about just our stationary threes. And obviously, we get badges like Gold Claymore on this build, which is going to be really, really nice to help you hit those catch and shoot threes when you are in a standstill position. Now, this is where we're going to be hitting a majority of our shots, whether we're basically just hitting wide open catch and shoots or catch and shoots off of a late closeout. This is where you're going to be able to shine as a shooter on this build, because even though we have an 85 three-pointer, we're actually going to be spotting up in the corner on this build on our team, but we do have some abilities to spot up on the wing as well, which makes this build super versatile. And it's pretty much the biggest versatility thing with our team, is that we all have a bunch of elite shooters on the court that can pretty much spot up from any position. But again, man, I cannot state it enough. This build is going to be a elite shooting build. It's going to be elite spot up there. You're going to be able to score off the dribble, out of the mid-range, out of the three-point line, and teams cannot put a bad defender on you on this build, especially if you know what you are doing. Now, I couldn't show you guys all of those really great shooting highlights without giving you guys the jump shot I was using, and the jumper is going to be base Tracy McGrady, upper release one is going to be Kyle Korver, and we're just using pure Kyle Korver on this build, and it is a really good jump shot in this year's game, and the Kyle Korver release is also a very good one as well. Now, moving on to the playmaking, as you can see, we have a 91 pass accuracy on this build, which is going to get you access to badges like Gold Break Starter, and you're also going to get access to Tyrese Halliburton passing style, which is the best pass style in the game. Now, one of my favorite things to have in combination with that super high pass accuracy and that Tyrese Halliburton pass style is Needle Threader on gold. And as you guys are going to see, having a super high pass accuracy on this build is going to help us out a whole lot. They try to send a little bit of help here on the wing. One person's trying to play two and he guesses wrong, and we get a wide open shooter on the wing. And this is the thing that I love about this build as well, is that when you are trying to take advantage of the poor defender that they usually put out of the corner, they try to send a lot of help D, and with having such high pass accuracy, they just simply cannot do that on this build. And having super high pass accuracy is just going to make it easier to throw the slip to the big right here. This is going to be Laker just running straight down into the paint. And this is the thing that we do a lot in this little offense that we got going, is a lot of off-ball movement with Laker and a lot of give and goes with him as well. And although I am usually, again, just spotting up out of the corner, I need to have playmaking abilities on my build because I am still involved a lot in the offense on this team, whether it's either scoring on my own or playmaking, just like you see right there. Yeah, no, 91 pass accuracy is just super fun to have on this type of build, and it fits Larry Bird's game super well, so we wanted to take advantage of that, especially with the way that our team's offense is set up. But again, man, like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite badges to have on this build is Post Playmaker on Hall of Fame, and this is where things just get super disgusting with this build, man. Listen, you're either going to have to put a better defender on me, and that's just the end of the story, because I'm going to score on your bad defender, and you're not going to be able to send help D, because I know how to dot the help defense. I know how to dot the rotations. There's no blitzing. There's nothing that you can do. You either just need to put a good defender on me or just live with the consequences of me having this poor defender on me, and it is just that simple. And honestly, it's actually pretty easy to dot the defenses when you're in the post, because you don't have to worry about getting open, because if I have this poor defender on me, I'm already open. I don't have to worry about that. If they don't send help, I can just easily score without any issue, so I don't have to worry about that. But when I'm in the post and I start to see that they are sending some help defense, it becomes easy to dot, because that's all I'm looking at. That's all I'm looking to see before I score. And pretty much everything I'm doing scoring wise out of the post is just a bunch of if-then statements. Do they have the poor defender on me? Yes. All right, cool. Are they going to send help? No. All right, I'm going to score. Do they send help? Yes. All right, I'm going to look to facilitate and try to throw a dot to open up one of my guys. But now, obviously, you can see all of our playmaking moves on this build right here as well. Obviously, like I mentioned, the Tyrese Halliburton pass style is super important to have. My go-to post scoring moves, you see we have post fade pro 2, post hop shot Kobe Bryant, and obviously these are going to be the best animations that you could use on this build with what you are given. All right, so moving on to the defense with this build, we're going to have some really good interior defending capabilities. As you can see, we have a really high interior defense. We're also going to have a 78 block, which is going to get us bronze anchor, and we're also going to have an 85 defensive rebound, which is going to get us rebound chaser on silver. Now, with this build, you're going to be a super versatile defender. You're going to be able to hang down low with these bigs trying to mash in the paint. You're going to be able to get stops on these bigs. I do not care if I'm 6'8" and they're 7 feet tall. I'm going to get stops down low on these big guys, especially when I go to get a jump contest. And again, man, this build is super versatile, and we can basically pretty much guard 1 through 5 on this build. We can switch on to guards and guard them as long as you know how to actually guard a guard on defense. And then when it comes to your bigs down low, you can get stops on them as well without any issue. But now let's talk about the perimeter defending capabilities of this build. And obviously, we're going to have an 87 perimeter defense, which is going to get you silver clamps as well as gold challenger. And you're also going to have an 81 steal on this build, which is going to get you silver interceptor. And again, being able to defend on the perimeter with this build is not an issue right here. This guy gets stuffed up in the post and he makes a scary, throws a scary read, and we get a steal off of that because we have that silver interceptor. Looking again at this next defensive possession right here, we're kind of just fronting the post score, trying to set a double team, and we just swat the ball out of his hands because we have a high steal rating, and he's just going to cough up that ball every single time, and then we end up getting a wide open catch and shoot off of it as well. And again, man, this build is just an all-around threat. You're going to be able to do things on offense, do things on defense, score on your own, get passing lane steals, blocks, guard anybody on this build for the most part, and it's just going to be a really fun build overall to use. And now here you can see the build fully maxed out, and obviously in the physicals we're going to have high speed, good acceleration, a 95 strength, which probably isn't the most accurate thing to a Larry Bird build, but again, guess what? This build is meant for Pro-Am, and I'm going to basically make the build as close as I can to Larry while still confining it to the needs that I need on my team. So we have a 95 strength, which is going to get us a movable enforcer on Hall of Fame, which is actually a really good badge this year. All right, so now the build is complete. You're going to come out of the My Player Builder and get the shades of Larry Bird, Chris Middleton, and Mikal Bridges, and you're going to get the build name Two-Way Diming 3-level threat. I actually enjoyed playing on this build a lot. This is my go-to build when using it in competitive Pro-Am, and I love that I also got the Larry Bird shade on this build. And that's going to be it for today's video, man. I am out. Peace.